I believe that this is why we should.
If you look into the situation right now, but here's the thing.
Okay?
In this day and age, the elections have become more of a popularity contest rather than a duty to the nation. Apathy runs rampant among the people. Voting education is evident but emits a faint light. Among these problems are Thomasians trying to solve these issues on their own. But right here, this is your chance to let your voices be heard as we listen and create discussions out of your opinions. I am Gerald Andres. Raise a point, take a stand, listen, and be open. This is a special episode of Point Taken. Being citizens of this country, voting has always been our right. But what are the different factors that make us think twice to utilize our right to vote? Is it apathy, seemingly inadequate candidates, or do the people really just register to vote at the last minute? We want to know your thoughts. Tweet us at CosmicProdTV with the hashtag #PointTakenUST and like our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/CosmicProdUST. So here with us today are advocates for responsible voting. We have Mr. Richard Amazona, the Program Head of Youth Vote Philippines, and of course, Attorney Sabino Mejarito, the Campaign Finance Officer of Commission on Elections. So hello po.
Hi.
Kumusta naman po kayo?
Hello, mabuti naman.
Welcome to Point Taken. Now, moving on to the next part of the show, wherein we will be having word association. So let's all have our eyes on the screen because the word will be flashed, and you will have to respond by giving me the first word that pops into your minds once you have read it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Uno por Uno. So our word for today is vote. Now you can say the first word that comes to your mind when you hear this word, and remember that you only have 1 minute for your answer. So let's start, Mr. Richard Amazona. 1 minute starts now.
Well, for me, one thing or one word is, of course, youth. As we say, the 2016 elections will be a great game changer for every one of us.
Great game changer.
Yes, because a number of youth will be joining for 2016. So basically, it's youth.
Ilan po bang youth ang magjo-join?
Based on Comelec data, it's 37% or 20 million of the total voting population.
So a huge percent will be
Yes.
joining the voting population. So let's now move on, sir. Attorney?
It's dignity.
Dignity.
Dignity
And
in
why?
the sense that it's only during time of elections will be equal. Technically or theoretically, we are not equal. But it is on during elections wherein
Yes.
our vote is counted as one.
one.
And this represent our dignity.
Okay. So, a while ago, Sir Richard answered youth, and Attorney Mejarito answered dignity. So, ever since the word vote is so powerful that a few thousand differing opinions can entirely change the political landscape of a country and keep the wheel of power rolling. As you can see, everyone has different attitudes towards voting and politics in general, just like the opinions of our guests. But when we come back, more points on voting right here on Point Taken. Hello and welcome back to Point Taken. Before the break, our guests let us know what they first thought upon reading the word vote. So Sir Richard answered youth. And Attorney answered
Dignity.
dignity. Now for this part of the show, both of you will be answering 3 questions. You are required to answer each question one by one. But here's the catch. The questions will be coming from our panel. Joining us in this special episode are the UST Central Student Council Secretary Yvonne Erica Yap. Hello. The President of the UST Legal Management Society and the Speaker of the AB Board of Majors, Aleli Buku, And last but not the least, Dominic Shua, President of the USC English Language Studies Society. So the questions are about elections and politics in general. The panel and other guests are free to raise points after the person answering is done speaking. It is now time for Focal Point. So our first question will be coming from the USC Central Student Council Secretary, Yvonne Yap.
Hi, good
So your
afternoon
question?
to our guest. Having been said a while ago the importance of voting, how can we be actually of help to the marginalized people when it comes to keeping them informed of the realities in the Philippine context po?
So basically on awareness and being informed. So, sir?
Well, I can say it's twofold. No? First of all, is because for youth, we can be volunteers, especially for those organizations or advocacy groups working towards voters' education campaign. On the other hand, in terms of information dissemination campaign, we can have online and offline. Like for example, for online, we can maximize the use of social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other social media networking sites. On the offline side naman, I think much better for the youth if you would want to help is more or less bringing the conversations to the ground. Like for example, if you would want to ask a certain issue with regard to your voting capacity, you can ask some questions to your family. On the other hand, you can also engage your barkada, you can also engage your classmates and others. So first, I think one way to really be engaged is more or less to volunteer and be active offline and offline.
Okay. Sir?
On our part in COMELEC, particularly in campaign finance, we go on the implementations side of the
So, ano po ba yung mga
election laws.
implementations
When
nyo?
we say implementations, there is a rampant violations of election laws.
Like?
Like,
Sir would like to elaborate?
in campaign finance, overspending, something like that.
Apo.
Candidates spend too much.
So much.
Now, campaign finance is there to regulate
Regulation.
spending. Now, we want volunteers. We want youth to be involved, to volunteers, and report who are those who are violating election laws. Now, voting is part of the elections. However, it is on the campaign finance which we have to regulate elections so that there will be the equality side of elections will be upheld.
Will be there. Okay. Now we move on to the next panelist. We have Ms. Aleli Buku from the USC Legal Management Society. Your question?
Good afternoon. My question is, what are the different problematic areas that you see with our voting system? Or do you think that there is a need for a total change in the voting system?
So system and sa mga areas na magkakaroon tayong problema when it comes to the election. So, sir?
I think the basic question will answer on how elections is done
Will be
in the
done.
grassroots or
Okay.
will be done in the grassroots. I think most or majority of our voters are basically since 2010 are not really informed on how to do the elections voting in terms of online voting, electronics wise. But apparently, the big question now is how can the COMELEC really implement their programs and advocacies, and of course ensuring that the major voting population would be able to be engaged in such matters. So I think it's more on the implementation side and informing the public as well.
Sir?
That's it. I am with you with that, because we need really to implement. One way of implementing this is to involve the stakeholders in elections. So youth must have a stand on this. They have to answer the challenge because they will be the future of this nation. You will
leaders.
become leaders, yes. And if we lead these leaders today who are not following the laws, then
What more?
What more?
Yung youth.
Oh, yes, that's really the
Okay,
point.
tama.
Now in voting, we have to we have the Australian ballot system of voting, which there is secrecy. We do not to change this system because it's the best kind of system that we have. It is the secrecy of ballots. Must be
Secrecy of
upheld.
ballots. Okay, and of course, for the last question, we have Mr. Dominic Shua.
Hi. Since we're already talking about the implementation and the election per se, what for you is the right person, or what for you is the right candidate to vote, and how capable do you think is the Philippine voting public to vote for these right people or candidates?
So, quality, characteristics of who is to vote for really. Sir?
Well, I think siguro, no, isang pinakamalaking factor that the voting population should understand is that I believe on my personal level is there is no right candidate. And apparently, candidates has different advocacies and programs as well. But for Youth Vote Philippines, we have what we call the Change Framework. So for Change Framework, we have the competency. For the competency, it asks for their platform of governance. On the other hand, for honesty, we are encouraging every candidate to really inform the public in terms of their SAL and especially they are running. And next, of course, is accountability. Like, for example, if there are issues that they need to answer, what they stand for or what they are, the programs are believe in, of course, for that. Also is the non-biased aspect. We believe that despite their attachment with the political parties, much better that they should stand, of course, based on the trust of the public. And lastly, good governance, advocate, and empowering side. We would want to ensure that leaders will be able to empower the community and do more for the betterment of country.
Okay. Sir?
And voting, kailangan siguro natin ito i-focus about yung values.
Values.
Sa leadership kasi, ang problema natin dito, most candidates don't have values. The voters vote their candidates not based on their capacity or their character, but more on their personality. So makasayaw lang, okay na, makakanta lang, okay na, which is different. Marami pong mga kandidato, pag election po ay naglalabasan yung magandang salita pero walang gawa.
Yes.
And most of these are, yun ang nauupo. Kailangan natin yung performer, kailangan natin yung gumagawa kung ano yung kanyang sinabi. At saka yung may plano.
Yes,
Unfortunately, the voting public don't have any criteria today. Mostly, kaya nagpo-flourish yung vote buying because ang tao, cynical eh.
So wala silang stand.
Criteria, walang stand. That's why, ang nangyayari nito, kung sino nagbabayad sa kanila, siya na lang
Sila lang ang
binoboto.
buminoboto. So nasasayang.
Yes, sayang yung boto.
So of course, all of your opinions made sense. Once again, thank you so much to our panelists, Ms. Yvonne Yap, Ms. Aleli Buku, and Mr. Dominic Chua. So we will take another short break, but when we come back, more points about the major misconceptions on voting and elections. Don't go anywhere because Point Taken will be right back. Welcome back to Point Taken. During the first part of the show, our guests were able to give their opinions regarding the issue on voting. A while ago, words were exchanged, opinions were thrown, and views are constantly changed. After watching this short video about some of the major misconceptions of elections, will your views change or will they grow stronger? Let's all find out here on Final Take.
Hi, I'm Nika. So there are a lot of misconceptions about the different aspects of politics and elections. A lot of people aren't informed about these issues and some don't even bother to be. But it's essential that these misconceptions be cleared up, so let's shed some light on the top 3. Number 3. Candidates from political families or dynasties are always credible, while candidates who aren't are either uneducated or inexperienced. I think this misconception comes from the fact that the Philippines is the most dynasty-based of all democracies, with 70% of its legislators coming from old political clans. And while it's true that there have been strong and capable leaders from these families, it's not right to consider that all the candidates from these families are automatically credible. It is also a misconception to think that candidates who don't come from political families are uneducated or inexperienced. There are politicians like Miriam Defensor Santiago and Chiz Escudero who graduated Bachelor of Laws in some of the best law schools around the world. We have Franklin Drilon, who served the Senate and Judiciary for multiple years and even crafted some of the most comprehensive laws. Yet somehow these people pale in comparison to the likes of Binay, Poe, and Marcos. This isn't to say that those who aren't from political families are automatically the best candidates.
But it is still important to consider candidates independent from their family name. Be critical and make your decision based from their background, experience, and platform. Number 2. Elections are useless. If the country is not improving anyway, what's the point? Changes in a country, especially economic ones, are slow. These things usually span years before even the most noticeable changes are seen. The case is the same for the Philippines, but to say that the country is not improving is a major misconception. Just in the second quarter of 2015, there's been a 5.6 increase in the GDP of the country. This seems small, but is actually respectable growth in the international scene and keeps the country attractive to foreign investors. And also in this year alone, there's been a lot of development in public infrastructure. Take for example the multiple road repairs and sewage restructuring by the government. While it's true that progress is slow, there have still been numerous positive changes in the country. And to say that elections are useless is to take those changes for granted. Don't let yourself think that way. Lastly, number 1, the biggest misconception. It's okay if I don't vote. There are a million other voters out there, therefore mine won't make a difference. Now, the reason this misconception is horrible is because so many people think this way. Voter turnout has been the worst for the past elections. The results for the first 2 months from the recent voter registration were only able to count 500,000 voters nationwide. That is only a speck of the voter-capable population, and it's alarming to think of how many people are wasting their chance to help the country. Voting is a right that every citizen of a country should exercise. This is the first step in making a difference for the better. It's you exercising your power and contributing to the fate of your country.
So according to our video, 3 major misconceptions on voting are, third, coming from a political family is a measure of competence. So second issue is elections are useless. If the country is not improving anyway, what's the point? Third is it is okay to not vote because there are millions of voters out there. So the vote won't make any difference. So your thoughts?
So I
Sir?
think, no, for the whole issue, the basic question again will rely on how do you love or how are you going to love your country. Like for example, in that case, gamitin natin yung pagmamahal in terms of voting. Kung mismo tayo naniniwala na kaya nating mahalin ang bansa natin, we won't be able to vote. For the first issue with regard to the political family, I beg to disagree that if you belong to a political clan,
Measure of competence.
yes, that's the
yun.
measure
Yes.
of competence. Again, for Youth Vote Philippines, what we are advocating is an issue-based elections, meaning based on their platforms,
Based on their
their action
beliefs.
plans, and of course, based on their stand on different issues, they should be elected
Then,
on that sense.
okay.
Second, of course, elections will be useless. Again, ask yourselves, what do you want to happen six years from now? So if you will not vote for today, then what
When?
will happen and
Kailan?
when? Kailan pa, diba? So third, in terms of vote, di kayo boboto kasi ikaw lang yun. I mean, isipin ninyo kung ikaw lang ang nag-iisip niyan, paano pa kaya yung ibang tao from that area? So again, the big question will rely on this. Kung mahal mo ang bansa mo, bakit hindi ka boboto? At kung talagang mahal na mahal mo ang bansa mo, bakit kailangan mong hindi bumoto? Thank you.
Okay. So, sir?
Okay, yung sa akin naman unang-una, mukhang meron tayong pagkakamali talaga about the meaning of elections eh. Election is a way of change.
Yeah.
Pagbabago yan eh, ang election. So,
transition of
yes.
a new era.
Yes.
kumbaga,
Then, it's a way of judging the performance of our
of the
leaders.
previous
Yes.
administration.
Now, it is a peaceful transition of power.
Yeah.
That's really the major purpose of elections. Now, in our country, only a percentage are handling the leadership or the political
Positions, sir?
yes of the country. Now, because of this, only few are given opportunity or chance to be elected. Now, yung mindset kasi ng tao, yun ang problema eh. Nandun tayo sa yung dynasty period eh. Kaya kailangan natin siguro lumabas doon, then para yung mga qualified na mga leaders na hindi naman mga mayaman, kailangan sila umupo. Yung may mga malasakit sa bansa. Pangalawa, hindi useless ang election. I disagree on that. Kasi ang election po is a way of sa change nga eh. Kailangan natin may election. Sabi ko nga, habang ako nagkakandak ng voter education, habang may election, mayroon pagkakataon ng pagbabago.
So
Ito
there
po
are chance.
yung potent kasi yung boto ng bawat isa eh. Yung bawat isa, yung boto ng bawat isa, kailangan natin. Hindi sasabihin, useless ang boto ko. Kailangan mo yan. Ito po yung boses mo sa gobyerno.
Yes.
Mag-rally ka man, bubumbahin ka lang doon. But during the time na boboto ka, dito po mo masasabi na ito yung aking boses na dapat may parating. Ito ang pinipili ko, kaya kailangan ko bumoto. So, I encouraging the youth na sana bumoto, mag-participate at saka mag-volunteer.
Okay, so today we were able to recognize the different stances of our guests regarding the students' various attitudes towards voting. We all definitely learned something new today. So gentlemen, any last messages to all voters and would-be voters out there?
So hi, so I'm calling every young Filipinos to be part of Youth Vote Philippines. So for more information, just visit our website. It's www.youthvotephilippines.com, or you can visit our Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/youthvote. And of course, again, naniniwala po kami that this elections is our game plan. So basically, for every youth out there, please do join us and be active on May 9, 2016. If we want to change our country, if we want to make a change as part of this institution, please do vote. And sana kasama namin kayo sa pagtawag namin for 2016. We believe that boto ko, boses ko, bumoto ng tama Pilipinas, and let's vote for our country. Thank you.
Sa amin naman, sa Campaign Finance, sa COMELEC, ang aming pong trabaho ay mag-conduct ng isang honest or peaceful elections. Pinapanawagan ko sa lahat, lalo na sa youth, na mag-participate, mag-volunteer. Kailangan po namin kami sa Campaign Finance, kailangan namin yung mga volunteers kung saan magre-report ng mga violations. We need that kasi walang investigasyon kung walang report. How can we conduct investigation kung wala man lang mag-report? So we need volunteers. We need really somebody to help us in this aspect so that we can have mayroon tayong pagkakataon na i-prosecute yung mga violators at yung mga nanalo naman dapat manalo na sa tama. Ibig sabihin, yung mga dapat manalo kung saan ginawa nila yung kanilang pangangampanya sa tamang paraan ay dapat yun ang manalo, hindi yung mga violators. Hindi may mga guns, may guns at saka gold.
Okay, so that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much to our guests, Mr. Richard Amazona and Attorney Sabino Mejarito. We hope that you learned something today. This has been Gerald Andres. Continue to raise a point, take a stand,
Listen.
and
And be open.
this is a special episode of
Point taken.
Point taken.
Point Taken. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, po.